Anatomy is a word that divides the art community. Some say it's a necessity, while others say it's a hindrance. Whichever side you're on, I think we can all agree that anatomy is one difficult subject to learn. I recently taught an epic 6-month anatomy course to artists from all over the world, through which they learned to simplify and make anatomy actually useful. It was a very valuable experience for myself, and it got me thinking, what are the top 3 biggest challenges that art students face, and what are the solutions? Here's my list. Number 1. Copying flat shapes. Most artists learn anatomy by copying flat shapes representing muscles and bones. I actually went through this exact same thing years ago. This creates an illusion of learning anatomy thoroughly because you're going through each and every muscle, big and small, all the bones, and looking at their shapes, where they connect, what their names are, thinking that you have mastered the anatomy. The problem with this, though, is that copying flat shapes doesn't allow us to really make use of these anatomical parts. You're not able to rotate and draw it in different angles and other poses. So all you're doing is memorizing one shape in one pose, which doesn't apply when the angle or the pose changes. Because remember, anatomical features will change their shapes depending on the angle, depending on the pose. So what's the solution to this? Short answer is form and structure. Through the 6-month course, I taught my students to simplify every muscle and bone into simplified geometric forms that they can rotate and resize and draw in any angle. Through this, they're able to visualize the 3D space, observe, draw, and turn the muscles and bones they learned and draw them in any size. To me, this is what makes anatomy practical, when you're able to actually turn what you've learned into tools that you can apply in any situation. Drawing through is heavily utilized in this so that you actually understand how something is structured. For example, the trapezius. It changes its shape depending on the angle you're looking at. But if you really understand how it wraps around our clavicle, our shoulder area, forming like a tunnel up here, it helps you to connect it to different bones around and draw it in more than one angle. Number 2, using the wrong references. And by reference here, I mean both photo references and anatomical tools that they use. Always pick the best ref packs you can find. I regularly collaborate with Graphite Studio because I believe their references are the highest quality in the industry. I'll include an affiliate link down below and you can get some discounts by purchasing there. The little wood mannequin that you can buy in dollar stores is inadequate, guys. It's not anatomically correct, doesn't even have decent proportions. I don't understand why artists still learn from those, to be honest. But what about those fancy casts you see in a lot of classical art schools? They have their place. They will teach you a lot of good things, but anatomy is not the best use for those. Let me explain why. Take these casts as example. They feature very strong, specific characteristics for some of these muscles that would not apply in a universal sense to other figures or poses that you would draw, because they're so stylized in their own classical way. This David's eye, for example, if you don't know how to observe and simplify these into 3D forms, then you're stuck, again, copying what you see and being misled by all these wave-like shapes here around the eye socket, creating an imitation of what you're looking at. Sure, you might have trained your proportions, your shading if you did that, but have you learned anatomy? Not in a practical way. It is far better to use these high-quality figure models. For example, this skull is a very good reproduction. It doesn't collapse like some of the cheaper models out there, where everything is just very soft and noodle-like. It holds up its rigid form, and that enables you to turn it into form and structure. 2 sources come to mind. One is bone colognes, the other one is anatomy tools. They both produce high quality reproductions of skulls, of figures. I encourage you guys to check those out. And I have no relationship with those companies, but I have been using their products throughout the years to teach my students. Number 3, and perhaps the most important, a lot of art students expect to do one anatomy course and never look at anatomy ever again. They think it's something that you just do once and you're done with. The reality is just not simple like that. The best way to approach learning of anatomy is by making it practical as we just discussed, but also by having the right mindset. You need to incorporate it into your art every time you draw a figure. Have a quick think about what's the underlying structure, what bones and muscles are playing a role. If you're going to be creating from your imagination, think about what are you going to focus on. You can't be showing all the muscles, but think about the ones that are important to focus on in each pose that you're creating. So by making it part of your art, part of your process, you're repeatedly going through learning anatomy, and you're making it your own. You're making it solid, a real toolbox that you can use anytime that you need to. So I've mentioned the words practical, simplify, form and structure, and toolbox, all these multiple times. The reason is we can't just treat it as something dead and never changing. So the copying of shapes comes from this mindset of, expecting it to never change, to always be a constant. Anatomy is changing, it's flexible, and you need to be simplifying it, designing with it, having a choice between which ones to focus on, what to not show, to eliminate in your artwork. So make it practical, make it flexible, and most importantly, make it part of your creative process. So, are you currently learning anatomy, or have you conquered it a long time ago? What was your experience? Do you agree with my points? I'd like to hear it all in the comments section. If you enjoyed this video, you'll find all my links down below. And I'm currently having a summer sale for all my courses, including practical anatomy, on my website. I'll see you in class.